Hey everybody, welcome back to Walking with Jesus Daily. We are in day 64, and this is Transformation Day 20 of 40. Officially, the halfway point of our 40-day Spirit-led walk in the wilderness. And I don't want to dwell on anything for too much. But I have heard and keep hearing from people what they're going through and what they're in the middle of. And my hope is that we can just remain focused on what this actually is. That if you are being led by the Spirit into this wilderness, then you are willingly allowing God to show you how big He is, how good He is, how loving He is, and all the places that He needs to be in your life, so that your life can be more wholly devoted to Him. If you don't like those words, wholly devoted or more fully His, that may in and of itself be a warning or a red flag. As we talked a little bit yesterday, it just doesn't make any sense flat out why you would not want to take every opportunity to grow closer to God. And my point being this: if you proclaim Him as King of your life, as you proclaim Him as, the very best thing that you've ever come across in your experience in this world, then why would you not want Him to be in every aspect of everything that you do? Why would you not want Him ruling over all aspects of your life? Why would you not want His Spirit to lead you to where you should go? Would the pain not be worth it? Of course it would be. Would the, whatever comes with it, you would accept. And for people who have been blessed enough to be parents, if all you've wanted was a child, but you're told ahead of time that there's going to be a lot of pain, a lot of sleepless nights, complete selflessness, so on and so forth, would you still sit back and say, you know what, we're just going to go without children? Now, if you really want children, you're just going to go through whatever pain and suffering for however long it is to have a child. We deny ourselves and pick up whatever cross is in front of us often. We do it in school to get a career. We do it at our work to get a promotion. We do it in our own lives if we're pursuing different relationships. I mean, we do it in sports, constantly in sports, even when we're not even very good or our team's not very good. We sacrifice a lot for this. So, as we look at those things and try to keep that in mind going forward, that we need to be all in because we want to be. So let's look at this story today. In day 64, it's called Elijah's One Meal and 40 Days of Strength. Now, if you don't know who Elijah is, pardon me. Elijah, Elijah, had a follower, or a disciple if you will, whose name was Elisha, Elisha. I know, confusing. But we're talking. I'm not bored. This is the curse that I've been given when I record. Elijah. And no, I don't believe I'm cursed. I'm just pointing out the fact that when I started doing recordings, I, for whatever reason, will yawn 5-10 times. I don't yawn any other time of the day. Where we're going to be today is reading 1 Kings 19. If we look at 1 Kings, which, yes, we've spent a lot of time in 1 Kings lately. In 1 Kings 18, it's kind of a long chapter, but we'll kind of phrase this up so I don't read 46 verses to you. I've read a lot to you the last couple days. I feel like I'm reading a book to children. And that's not because you guys are children, it's just what it feels like on my end. But here's what it says. Remember, we talked about Ahab. Alright. It says, after many days, the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, go, show yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. So Elijah went to show himself to Ahab. Now the famine was severe in Samaria, and Ahab called Obadiah, who was over the household. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly, and when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50s in a cave, and fed them with bread and water. And Ahab said to Obadiah, all right, so remember, Obadiah is this person who's over the household, because Obadiah feared the Lord greatly. And Ahab said to Obadiah, go through the land to all the springs of water and to all the valleys. Perhaps we may find grass and save the horses and mules alive, and not lose some of the animals. So they divided the land between them to pass through it. Ahab went in one direction by himself, and Obadiah went another direction by himself. And as Obadiah was on the way, behold, Elijah met him. And Obadiah recognized him and fell on his face and said, is it you, my lord Elijah? And he answered him, it is. It is I. Go, tell your lord, behold, Elijah is here. And he said, how have I sinned that you would give your servant into the hand of Ahab to kill me? Okay, so Ahab and Queen Jezebel, and you can read a lot about this power couple. They were quite the duo. It says, as the Lord your God lives, there is no nation or kingdom where my Lord has not sent to seek you. And when they would say he is not here, he would take an oath of the kingdom or nation that they had not found you. And now you say, go tell your Lord, behold, Elijah is here. And as soon as I have gone from you, the Spirit of the Lord will carry you, I know not where. And so when I come and tell Ahab that he cannot find you, he will kill me. Although I, your servant, have feared the Lord from my youth. Situation where Obadiah was a godly man, feared God, but served the king. So he was a righteous man in the sight of God, however, was in a terrible predicament with who the king was at that time. He says, has it not been told, my Lord, what I did when Jezebel killed the prophets of the Lord? How I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets by 50s in a cave and fed them with bread and water? And now you say, go tell your Lord, behold, Elijah is here. and he will kill me." And Elijah said, "As the Lord of hosts lives, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself to him today." So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. Alright, let's finish this up real quick, because this is actually a really cool story. I want to read the whole thing, but when Ahab saw Elijah, Ahab said to him, "Is it you, you troubler of Israel?" And he answered, "I've not troubled Israel, but you have, and your father's house, because you have abandoned the commandments of the Lord and followed the Baals." So here we are again, B-A-A-L, okay? Baal. "Now therefore send and gather all Israel to me at Mount Carmel, and the 450 prophets of Baal, and the 400 prophets of Asherah, who eat at Jezebel's table." So Ahab and Jezebel. And then we have Baal. This is such a cool story. I'm going to read it anyway. Sorry guys, if you want to fast forward, you can fast forward. But it's just too cool not to read. I'll try to be quick, okay? Let's do this. So Ahab sent to all the people of Israel and gathered the prophets together at Mount Carmel. And Elijah came near to all the people and said, "How long will you go limping between two different opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. If you are between two different gods that you serve, choose one. You can't serve both." In other words, you can't serve a little bit of God and a little bit of money, a little bit of God and a little bit of relationship, a little bit of God and a little bit of wealth, a little bit of God and a little bit of success, a little bit of God and a little bit of school, a little bit of God and a little bit of self. You can't. And the people did not answer him a word. Then Elijah said to the people, "I, even I only, am left a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let 2 bulls be given to us, and let them choose 1 bull for themselves, and cut it into pieces, and lay it on the wood, but put no fire on it. And I'll prepare the other bull, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire on it. And you call upon the name of your God, and I will call upon the name of the Lord. And the God who answers by fire, he is God." And all the people answered, "It is well spoken." Then Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, "Choose for yourselves 1 bull and prepare it first, for you are many, and call upon the name of your God, but put no fire to it." Now, there is clearly power in worshiping Baal, okay? There's more power in worshiping God. God is a God who allows things or disallows things. Okay, so they're not going to take this challenge if they don't think they can win it, right? So they have witnessed something before from this Baal that they worship. And they took the bull that was given them, and they prepared it, and called upon the name of Baal from morning until noon, saying, "O Baal, answer us." But there was no voice, and no one answered. And they limped around the altar that they had made. And at noon, Elijah mocked them, saying, "Cry aloud, for he is God. Either he is musing or he is relieving himself in the bathroom," is what he's saying. Okay? He says, "Cry louder." Clearly he can't hear you. Maybe he's in the bathroom, or he's on a journey, or perhaps he's asleep and must be awakened. And they cried aloud, and they cut themselves. What does this sound like? And they cut themselves after their custom with swords and lances until the blood gushed out upon them. And as midday passed, they raved on until the time of the offering of the oblation. But there was no voice. No one answered. No one paid attention. Then Elijah said to all the people, "Come near to me." And all the people came near to him. And he repaired the altar of the Lord that had been thrown down. Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be your name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he made a trench about the altar, as great as would contain 2 seas of seed. And he put the wood in order, and cut the bull in pieces, and laid it on the wood. And he said, Fill 4 jars with water, and pour it on the burnt offering, and on the wood. And he said, Do it a second time. And they did it a second time. And he said, Do it a third time. And they did it a third time. And the water ran around the altar, and filled the trench also with water. So they have drenched this offering. They have drenched it completely. There is basically a pool of water now over this offering. Now, keep in mind, he has just allowed them the entire day to cry out, to cut themselves, to prepare the altar before Baal, and nothing. Now he had to rebuild the altar to God, prepared everything, and then drenched it. You ever try to light firewood that's drenched in water? 3 times, Father, Son, and Spirit. And the water ran around the altar and filled the trench also with water. And at the time of the offering of the oblation, Elijah the prophet came near and said, O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Answer me, O Lord, answer me, that this people may know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offering, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. Let's read it again. Then the fire of the Lord fell, consumed the burnt offering, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and said, The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. Do you need to see this to fall on your face and say, The Lord, He is God? And Elijah said to them, Seize the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they seized them. And Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and slaughtered them there. All of those who were priests of foreign god, also known as Satan, were slaughtered. And Elijah said to Ahab, Go up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of the rushing rain. So Ahab went up to eat and drink. And Elijah went up to the top of Mount Carmel, and he bowed himself down to the earth and put his face between his knees. And he said to his servant, Go up now, look toward the sea. And he went up and looked and said, There is nothing. And he said, Go again 7 times. And at the 7th time, he said, Behold, a little cloud like a man's hand is rising from the sea. And he said, Go up, say to Ahab, Prepare your chariot, and go down, lest the rain stop you. And in a little while the heavens grew black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. And the hand of the Lord was on Elijah. And he gathered up his garment and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. The hand of the Lord was on Elijah. And he gathered up his garment and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. But Ahab's on his chariot, on his way. All right, so here we go. Now we're getting into today's lesson. Sorry, it was too good to pass up. I'm sorry. If y'all want to tell your friends, begin listening in minute 20. Let's get into our 40. Ahab told Jezebel, I just feel it's important, that in this wilderness, in the middle of this wilderness, that we realize that the Lord is God. The Lord is one. And we will love the Lord our God with all of our heart, our soul, our mind, and our strength. Only He is worthy. There is nothing else on this planet that you can or will or have worshipped that will do anything for you. Only hold you down and take life away. I promise you. If you have money, you'll never have enough. Fame, never enough. Relationship, never enough. Love, never enough. All these man-made things. Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, So may the gods do to me, and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by this time tomorrow. Jezebel is an evil, powerful woman. She will kill anytime that she wants to. She is straight evil. So, she says, if by this time tomorrow you're not dead, may the gods do more to me. Verse 3, then he was afraid. This is Elijah, who just called down fire. Actually, he didn't call it down. He just made an offering to God. He was afraid, and he arose and ran for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. He's terrified. He runs for his life. Runs to where it should be a safe territory. Remember, it was a divided kingdom. Remember that Solomon's kingdom was going to be torn. It says, but he himself went a day's journey into where? The wilderness. And he came and sat down under a broom tree. And he asked that he might die, saying, It is enough. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am no better than my fathers. And he lay down and slept under a broom tree. Elijah's done. He's done fleeing. He's done constantly fighting for his life. He's tired. He's in the wilderness. He's literally fighting for his life. He's done. Listen, just bear with me here. You may feel done. And behold, an angel touched him and said to him, Arise and eat. In other words, get up and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was at his head a cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. And he ate and drank and lay down again. Because who doesn't lay down after they eat cake baked on hot stones? I mean, come on. And the angel of the Lord came again a second time and touched him and said, Arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you. An angel is coming to him in the middle of the wilderness, ministering to him, strengthening him. Remember what happened at the end of Jesus' 40 days? Angels came and ministered to him, brought him up. It says, and he arose and ate and drank and went in the strength of that food that God had provided for him. He went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mount of God. He went in the strength of that cake and water 40 days and 40 nights. He was laying down ready to die. He was finished. Done. And he's awoken twice. And then he goes in the strength of that food. 40 days. What kind of power cake was that? It says, there he came to a cave and lodged in it. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him. And he said to him, what are you doing here, Elijah? He said, I've been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And he said, go out and stand on the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind tore the mountains and broke in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, the sound of a low whisper. And when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. And behold, there came a voice to him and said, what are you doing here, Elijah? Like, what are you doing here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword, and I, even I only, am left. And they seek my life to take it away. And the Lord said, go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus. And when you arrive, you shall anoint Hazael to be king over Syria. And Jehu, the son of Nimshi, you shall anoint to be king over Israel. And Elisha, S-H-A, the son of Shaphat, of, Abel-Maholah, you shall anoint to be prophet in your place. And the one who escapes from the sword of Hazael shall Jehu put to death. And the one who escapes from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha put to death. Yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him. So, after this, Elijah goes and does what he's told. What is the point? What is our 40? What is the point of the 40 in this? We're in the middle of our wilderness, spirit-led. Elijah's in the middle of an actual wilderness, fleeing for his life. He's exhausted and he wants God to just take him. God feeds him. Feeds him twice. Empowers him to go. Says, we're not done yet, bro. This is not it. I have things for you to do. I need you to go. So he goes in the strength of that food that God had provided him for 40 days and 40 nights. He goes. It doesn't say that he ate or drank anything else. It just says that he ran for 40 days and 40 nights. On foot. A journey. And God spoke with him there and sent him back into the wilderness. Now, let's talk for just a second. Would you rather be in a wilderness or on the mountaintop? It is easy. Mountaintop. Mountaintop is where God showed his power and spoke directly to Elijah. Wilderness, where he was seeking his life and wanting to die, where his life was hunted and he was wanting to die. So he's in this place. God provides what he needs. Doesn't remove him from the wilderness. Provides him what he needs so he can get out. Goes to the mountaintop, calls in the name of the Lord. The Lord shows up and sends him back to the wilderness. My friends, the work of the Lord that he has for us is not done on the mountaintops. No matter how badly you want to be up there, no matter how badly you want to be as near to God as you can possibly be, and I get that, so do I. It's not where the people are that need God. It's not where we learn about ourselves. That's not where God reaches down and empowers us because we're completely out of power ourselves. If you are struggling and you are halfway and you have made it this far, please stop and rely on God fully to be your strength. Just stop. Lay down. Call in the name of God. If you have tried to do this so far on your own strength, if you have tried to do this so far with your will, and you have not yet learned that what this is actually about is surrender, please do that. Or you will literally exhaust yourself in this 40-day walk in the wilderness and have nothing to show for it. Only more exhaustion, more confusion, maybe even more fear. God is not against you. He is for you. He loves you. He fights for you. He shows up in the wind and in the earth and in the fire and in the whisper. He shows up and lights up the offering. He shows up to show the world his strength, not you. Allow him to strengthen you. Make it through to the end. Learn all you can about him and all you can about yourself. Who he really is, who you really are. And let's learn. Let's learn from the stories that we get to read about. Let's learn from these 40s. Another 40-day and a 40-night. Another opportunity to see how God works. And then let him do that in your life. All right, guys. I'll see you at the next one.